Hey, I thought I'd add a tag to Tag Tuesday. Hey BookTube, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March. I have a tag. Normally I post 2 videos a week, Wednesday and Saturday. But it's Tuesday. I thought, why not? Maybe I'll have another video this week and my Bookish Week video. I have no idea how the YouTube algorithm works, but screw that. Let's see what happens. I don't even know if this will have any effect whatsoever on YouTube. They don't notice me, so I don't know. If you guys know how that works, is it best to have regular video times every week, or is it good to post a bunch of videos in a week? I don't know. By the way, now that I brought that up, how do you guys do Vlogmas, and how do some people post videos every single day? It's exhausting. I don't know how you do it. I would be exhausted. 2 videos a week is typically what I can handle. And I only get to do that because if I try to do my Bookish Week video on Friday, and if I have a chance, I'll create 2 videos at the same time. I'll change my shirt so it looks like I'm doing it at different times. Secret. Or I will do my Bookish Week video first, and then I'll do another video over the weekend that I will schedule for Wednesdays. So give me some insight. Tell me what you do about that. So this is a tag. This is the ratings and review tag by Scott and Nelle at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. This is going everywhere. This is like wildfire because they are the king and queen of creating tags. They've done some awesome tags. The number 1 prompt is tag, folks. I'm not going to tag anybody. It's everywhere. So if you haven't done it, if you're watching, please do the tag. I would love to have names, but quite honestly, by the time this tag goes up, 10 other people might have already done it. So I'm copping out on that one. Prompt 2, how do you know you've just finished a good book? Is it a thinking or feeling response? It's both. However, my rating of the book is different. A good book is one that's technically written well, that the sentence structure, the word choice, the vocabulary, the development of the plot, those technical aspects, if they're done well, if they're creative, often experimental, if the author is writing in a way where you can easily follow this story is going to go, and not that you need to know how the book is going to end. I don't think anybody wants to really know that. But if you can trail where the author is taking you, that's a good book. The other consideration for me, I will rate a book 5 stars. Yes, I do use star ratings. Is that this question or is that another one? I think it's another one, but a good book is, I need to have an emotional reaction. If a book takes me to the point where I'm about to cry, that's a really good emotional reaction for me. I have read several 5-star books that have done that. If I actually do cry, it's an incredible book. I don't cry very often reading a book. I have given books, high ratings that I haven't cried at, but it has to be well written technically, but then it has to provoke an emotional reaction in me. I have to believe it's moving in some way. Number 3, when you begin to form your review or rating, what is the first question you ask yourself? The first thing I ask myself is, am I upset that I'm done with the book? Because if I still want to be in the book, it's a good book. And that's going to lead me into what type of review or rating I'm going to give for the book. One of the best examples I have is last year, at the end of last year, when I finished Daniel Deronda, I slowed down at the last 10 pages because it was clear I was almost done, and I didn't want to be done. I wanted to be in the story. I wanted to follow those characters, and I was upset. I was viscerally upset when I was done with the book. Number 4, do you do star ratings? Why or why not? I do star ratings. I use Goodreads. I do the 1 to 5. Why do I use it? Because it's Goodreads for me is mostly a database. I don't use it for a lot of stuff besides keeping track of what I've read and what I've thought of the book. I almost never do reviews anymore, only because I review the books in my wrap-up videos or on my BookTube channel. But I do use the ratings because I like to see the stats of which books I gave which rating and how many 5-star books, how many 4, so on and so on. A lot of books that get a 3 or below, I will unhaul, especially if I hate the book or if I don't like it. Not all 3-star books I will get rid of, but probably the majority I do. And there's an A and a B. Yes. Explain your star rating. What does a good book get in your rating system? Is your star rating consistent? I.e., are all your 5-star books better than all your 4-star books? I think I answered what a good book gets in my rating system. Is my star rating consistent? Are all of my 5-star books better than my 4-star? Yes. My 5-star books provoke that reaction in me. They mean something. Now, there's an issue or a question with how can you, have you rated like between genres? How can you have different genres and have different books from each genre all get a 5-star rating? Because within its own genre, that book may be a 5-star book. If I read a book that's a more serious or experimental or literary fiction, I hate that term, but you know what I mean by that. If I read a book like that and I give it a 5-star, how can I have that up against, okay, here's an example. I just finished Alan Cumming's book, Not My Father's Son. I gave that 5 stars. That is a celebrity memoir. I also gave 5 stars to The Count of Monte Cristo, or to Milkman by Anna Burns. How can they all be 5 stars? One's a celebrity memoir, one's a classic, one's literary fiction. Because within each of those categories, that book was special. And they were technically done well, the story was engaging, the book moved me. That was why each one of them got 5 stars. A 5-star book is always different than a 4-star book in my rating system. Number 5, do you believe every book has its perfect reader? Does this contradict the idea that a book can be bad? I don't believe every book has a perfect reader. I don't. It's almost like, do you believe in soulmates? Honestly, I don't. That's not a bad thing. I tend to be a pragmatist or a realist. I don't believe every book has a perfect reader. I think a lot of books appeal to a lot of different people, and I think a lot of different people will like the same book, if that makes sense. No, I don't think there's a one-to-one match with a perfect reader. Number 6, what book that you hated have you recommended? I haven't. I don't recommend books that I hate. I talk about them, but I don't recommend them. If I talk about a book that I hate, it's really clear that I hate it, and usually the other person is not going to want to read it, so I don't recommend it. But there have been books that I've hated that other people will say, well, I'm going to read it anyway. All right, that's fine. That's fine. Number 7, what makes a book good, bad, or great by your evaluation? I think I talked about that. The books that I've hated, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, prejudice, racism. If all of those appear in a novel and it's not part of the story arc or the characters, if it's gratuitous, it's a bad book. Birdsong comes to mind. Paris Trout comes to mind. I thought Paris Trout was an awful book, even though it was a prize winner, whatever. 3 Women, it was a really bad book, and that's nonfiction. It wasn't the book it was marketed to be, and it also was a bad book. It had a bad message. Again, all of these are my opinions. And I think I talked about a good book and a great book. A great book to me is something that's technically well done and moving emotionally. A good book, a 4-star book, is a book I did love, but it wasn't as moving as that 5-star book would be. So, number 8, when evaluating the quality of the book, do you have a specific criteria or aspects of the book, such as character development, that you consider? Does this change if you are writing an in-depth review versus just thinking about the book for enjoyment? It does, actually. When I'm evaluating, do I have specific criteria? Again, good writing, well done writing. If your writing is artistic or creative or experimental and it's technically well done, that definitely is a bump up. Criteria, character. I'm appreciating plot more, a really good plot, a well thought out plot. But in the past, I would have said character is really important, and it's that my first consideration. But yeah, I still love a good character. I love a good character development, but I'm really growing to appreciate plot more, not more than character, but almost as much. So a really good book has great character, great plot, great writing in an emotionally moving setting, theme, atmosphere. Number 9, do you consider star ratings or average ratings when choosing books to read or add to my TBR? I consider them, but they don't sway me unless it's a book that I was really interested in. And if I go and look on, if I use Goodreads or if I look on the online reviews and most of the reviews are bad, I will second guess the book. But that doesn't happen very often. And if I'm reading a book and I'm not really that interested, or I'm thinking it's more negative than positive in my reading experience, I will go and look at star ratings. If it's like got a 3.4 and I'm not really enjoying it that much, I might DNF it. If I'm going to buy a book, I'm not going to buy a full price book if it's got a 3.2 on Goodreads. I'm also pretty sure I know what type of book I'm going to like. I know what I want to buy. I will put things on my TBR just to have them there, just to go back and say, am I still interested in that? Why did I put that on my TBR? I might remove it, that type of thing. So I do pay attention to it, but it doesn't usually sway me that heavily. Number 10, who on BookTube does reliable and interesting reviews of books that you know you can use to decide if a book is good for you or not? What makes their reviews so good? Now, I saw Susan from Road Reads do this tag, and she's one whose taste seems similar to mine. And she did talk about me, but I actually really enjoy her reviews as well. Her channel was the first one that I saw the review for Red Comet by Heather Clark, which was one of my best of the year. That moved me to tears. And so on her channel was the first review of that book I saw, and that review, Susan actually moved me to hit buy for that book. I had it in my cart for a while. I really like Scott's reviews of books. We seem to have similar thoughts about the books we've both mutually read. And he loves The Count of Monte Cristo. I love The Count of Monte Cristo. But his reviews and his thoughts about books seem to match mine. And I also love Britta Bowler's reviews. She is an author, so she's very articulate about the plot of a book. She will be able to very succinctly and keenly talk about plot, and if it's a good story, if it's a good, well-developed story. But Susan and Scott, I think the language is similar. They talk about their feelings about a book, why they feel that way. And that's, I think, the important part is what they feel and why, or what they think and why. So those are the things I appreciate in a review. And I think this is the last one, number 11. Does that or those booktubers use different language than you to evaluate and review the overall quality of a book? I don't know. I think we all are fairly similar. Maybe the style of our reviews may be different. Susan seems to be more of an emotional reactor to books. Scott can be so sarcastic, but very honest, which I love. And Britta will be able to talk about the technical aspects really well. what I love about her reviews is she will give you the background of the author quite often in the very beginning of her review. I like that as well. But she also talks about plot and pacing and that type of thing. So yeah, different styles, very similar tastes. That's what I enjoy in those booktubers. There's so many that I like. I mean, there's so many that we all like. It's very difficult to just narrow it down to a few. But that's it for me. This was a really interesting tag. And Scott and Nelle have also done a video on book reviewing with a panel discussion. And I had actually totally forgotten about a Voxer message. So if you and Scott and Nelle, if you're watching, I forgot about that. But all that said, I'll include the link to that video as well. So they've been talking a lot about book reviewing and book reviewing language. Really interesting discussion. So let me know what you think below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.